He looked at me, he said, "Watch this." Looked me dead in my eyes. He goes straight ahead, runs the red light. In this moment, I'm seeing cars fly into ditches, trying to get away from him. And I remember screaming, telling him I'll do anything. I don't know what I did, but I'll do anything if you just stop. Growing up in a volatile home, just having a very emotionally unavailable father, an angry father. My mom was not providing any income for the home. That was something my father decided. He said that he needed her to, a college educated woman. He told her that she needed to homeschool the children and quit her job. My mom was very much very grounded in the church and religion, and so whatever the man said, that's what went. That was all of a sense of control. That was to clip her wings, to make her submissive. And he was willing to do that at the cost of his family's livelihood. He was the type of person to be extremely hot and cold. He did not communicate with words. He communicated through outbursts. When I got older, I had a very hard time, I would say, connecting to people in a healthy way, especially when it came to dating, romantically especially. That was not volatile. I have always attracted extremely angry and vicious personalities, even if they started off sweet in the beginning. I started to deal with the guy that I was seeing around February of that year. At this time, I was displaced. I was living with my aunt at the time. This guy caught me at a very, very, very vulnerable moment. I've been to college with him prior, but I never actually, talked to him romantically. But he put on a very comforting air about him. Very smart when it came to just really breaking down barriers, getting into your heart and everything like that. I remember at one point I was living, when I came back to Atlanta, I rented a room with a friend that I knew from high school. And I gotten to a point where I'd broken up with him. And so I remember when he found out that I was dating someone else, he called me and told me that, was yelling and saying that he just, that I make him want to burn the house down. And I was like, okay. Well, I live with people, and then I started to get a little worried because I was like, well, if something actually did happen, that would be on me, I went back with him at that point. The weekend of October 11th, 2021. We were sitting and we were having a good time. I remember just like looking over the city. But I just said, hey, I would not want either of us to get a DUI because you don't have to be drunk to get a DUI. I remember offering that. And they said, you don't think I'm going to get you home safe? I always do. I said, okay. That's fine. We get on this intersection to go down the highway. And instead of taking that left to go onto the highway, he looked at me, he said, "Watch this." Looked me dead in my eyes. He goes straight ahead, runs the red light, goes down. In this moment, I'm seeing cars fly into ditches, trying to get away from him. And I remember screaming. I was like, just trying to shake him and get him to look at me. And I remember telling him I'll do anything. I don't know what I did, but I'll do anything if you just stop. He kept going faster. He goes into the farthest lane, the fastest lane. The impact was so heavy, just silence. It was so quiet after that impact. This weird pull, it just almost felt like I was lifting. I, in this moment, just assumed that I died. I remember looking over and I saw smoke coming into the car. He was unconscious at the headboard. We had hit an oncoming car. There was a person behind the girl that my ex hit, and he barely missed that guy. The guy jumps out of the car, runs to me, and he's saying, "Who do you need to call? I just saw this. Who do you need to call?" And I remember I just said, "I just want to speak to my mama." And I just told my mama, I was like, "I just don't want to die. I don't want to die." It turns out that I couldn't stand up because my foot was shattered. My spine was fractured. The cops were escorting my ex out of the car, the ex that I thought had passed away. And he didn't even look at me. And we get into the ambulance. It's a bunch of doctors just cutting my clothes off, trying to reduce the pain, trying to figure out what was happening with my spine. They kept prepping me. And I remember my mom fighting on my behalf and saying, no, she doesn't even know what's going on. I remember I told the doctors, I said, is there any recourse that any recourse that you can take where you do not cut into me right now? I was begging them, and they said, okay, we'll give you a few weeks to just, hey, take a second. I literally was not able to get up. I was bedbound 7 days, 24 hours a day. I couldn't do anything. After those 7 days, they put me in a cast, like some type of back brace. I had so much metal on me, it was insane. Like I had my foot cast, I had my brace, all of this. I couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair for a good moment of time. I had to relearn how to do everything. So I remember that first night that I went back home, I was in so much pain. It was dizzying to the point that that same night we had to call the ambulance. I had gotten contacted by my ex, and he was just trying to convince me that, it was a mistake. When you are in an abusive situation with a person, it does reframe. It rearranges your idea of reality and what is true and what is not. A few weeks later, when I was cleared, and they said that they said you're healing to the point where you're not out of the woods yet, but we don't think we're gonna have to actually have surgery on you. I remember my ex was not petitioning, but really trying to get me to come back to live with him. And my mom was so devastated. Now, after looking back on that situation, I understand that he had me over there because he wanted, in the event that I really press charges, because he knew that this could have been going really serious. It could have really put him away for a long time. He wanted the courts to see that, oh, we're back together. It got to the point where the way that he was talking to me, it suggested that he was going to do worse the next time. And I remember thinking to myself, I hope I make it through the night. Because I said, if he decides to do something to me in this moment, there's nothing that I can do. I remember calling my dad and saying, this is an emergency. I need you to get me out of here. And so we devised a plan, because my dad knew that he was actually kind of nervous about coming in there with him there, because he's proven himself to be a dangerous man. He knew something was awry. I remember seeing him sit in his driveway. He was sitting in the parking spot for 15 minutes. And I said, Dad, don't come in yet. And I was so afraid that he would have figured it out. I was like, did he read my text messages? Is he mirroring my text messages? Like, how does he know something? I said, and if he doesn't go, if he comes back, what is he gonna do? So I remember he finally left. My dad came in like a whirlwind, took everything, and was just rushing me out. And he took me back to that place that I was with my mom. When my ex came back and he saw that I was gone, he started on this campaign of just really blowing up my phone. He was saying all manner of things to me. He started to try to turn mutual friends against me. Putting all of my business on Twitter, what business he thought he had. But he was basically saying that I had lied on him, even though I actually have documentation. I have doctor's reports, I have all the police report, everything. But he truly was trying his best to taint my story. It was so disheartening to see how the lack of care. When I called in, they told me, and I'm glad that I had called in back then, I had said, what's the status on this? They had classified what he did as like reckless driving or something. I said he almost killed 2 people. So I said I need to speak to the DA, and I fought and I fought and I fought and I pushed it. But after that, I lost all connection with the case. I assumed they closed it. I stood to this day, no understanding. My experience with this, I started to make it my mission to be more open, be more loud about this disservice and the injustice that is happening to women of domestic violence. So it took me a long time I didn't really feel safe. I did not stop looking over my shoulder until I got to Charlotte, until I was literally almost 30. I always tell women when they come out of stuff like this that you're gonna have to fight. You're gonna have to fight because no one's gonna be holding your hand. They don't care. I'm extremely active. I like to hike. I'm back in the gym the way I was right before I got it. I have had a whole lot of PTSD when it came to driving my car. I had to truly not think about it in order to be able to do it. I have been to the bottom of suffering truly, and I am going to continue to say it, continue to spread the word, because women are not alone. They're not as alone as they think they are. It's not an isolated event, and you can get out of it. So I probably should have been in a wheelchair a little longer, I will say that. But I was like, no, I'm going to take my crutches and I'm going to be able to, because I didn't want him to take that away from me. So I was able to stand. I still needed help. My friends, I still had to hold on to their hands, but I was so proud that I was able to really be out there. It's something that saved me. I will say truly saved me when I felt like I had nobody to empathize with me or to understand what I was going through. I really want women to understand that they need to give themselves grace and forgive themselves, or whatever they feel they need to forgive themselves for, no matter how weird it sounds or crazy. Forgive yourself. I took so long to do that. I could not let it go. There's nothing that you can do to deserve domestic violence. Nothing in this world could have given that person the right to do that to you.